Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and members of the committee. It's a great honor to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm the Executive Director of Renewable Energy Alaska Project, which is a statewide coalition of more than 80 organizations that have a mission of promoting renewable energy and energy efficiency in Alaska. And we typically don't focus in on specific projects. Instead, we promote policies and programs that will develop renewable energy projects and energy efficiency projects across the state. In 2008, we were instrumental in getting a state law passed to create the Renewable Energy Fund, which has set up a great vetting system to look at how projects should be developed and score them, and that resulted in $257 million of state money going into renewable energy projects and leveraging about another $130 million in private and federal money. 66 projects have been built so far, mostly in rural areas, and we've talked about how expensive it is to operate in these communities where the cost of energy often takes 50% of a person's take-home pay. Those 66 projects so far are displacing 30 million gallons of diesel today. And we believe that we can continue to optimize those projects. We know that we can continue to build more projects, but as you know, the state of Alaska's budget crisis has got us to the point where we don't have a lot of grant money right now. So one of the things that we're looking at is we're at a crossroads, and we need to find ways to bring in public-private investments. I spent the last 3 days in Juneau with Bert Hunter, who's the Chief Investment Officer of the Connecticut Green Bank. That's the second time he's come to Alaska graciously this year. We met with legislators, members of the administration, the mayor of Anchorage, bankers yesterday, and essentially what Connecticut has done has been really interesting for us to see. They had a renewable energy fund like we did for about 11 years, from 2000 to 2011, and during that time they had about a 1-to-1 leverage. They put in about $350 million in incentives, and they got about $350 million back out in matching money. In the 5 years since they've had the Green Bank, since 2011, they've done $1 billion worth of clean energy financing, almost all with private money. They're getting 11-to-1 ratios now, private money. Some of the biggest banks in the world are now part of the Connecticut Green Bank, and essentially what they have been able to do is leverage very small amounts of public dollars and de-risk these projects and educate the private banking community how this works. We believe this is a real opportunity for the state of Alaska. And Connecticut has really benefited from the fact that there are federal programs out there like USDA, like other loan guarantees, and the things that are supporting people all around the country are also supporting the people in Connecticut indirectly when the Connecticut Green Bank can use that to deleverage or to de-risk projects. We're here to talk about infrastructure, and of course, one of the biggest infrastructures we've got here in the country is our buildings. We have 120 million buildings across the country. It uses 42% of our primary energy, about 72% of our electricity. And in Alaska, we have evidence now that we can do a lot better. We have an inefficient building stock. The state's housing authority has administered a program over the last 10 years or so that has served over 40,000 homes, and the average savings has been 30%. We're spending in the state of Alaska, collectively, we estimate about $5 billion a year on energy. That's transportation, heating, and electricity. And just from our experience and seeing how inefficient some of this energy is being used, we believe that we could save 20% of that. That's $1 billion that we could keep in our economy every year if we invest. And those investments, of course, are going to bring all kinds of jobs. There's 3 million people working in the renewable energy industry right now in the United States. Last year, globally, the renewable energy industry grew by 7%. It's one of the it's surging. It's one of the biggest industries in the world. And Alaska's opportunity to be a world leader in these microgrids, which is a huge opportunity. There's 700 million people around the planet, we estimate, on diesel. We have about 50 or 60,000, and we're concerned about them. But there are 700 million people on diesel, and there's another 1.5 billion people who don't have any electricity at all. So we have a huge first mover advantage. But Alaska's opportunity to be that leader in large part depends on the U.S. continuing to be a leader. And if the U.S. is not a leader in renewable energy, then China and Europe will rush in. There will be a vacuum, and we will not be able to continue to do the kinds of things we're doing in Alaska. It's very important for us to have the support of the federal agencies, of the federal programs, of the national laboratories. All that is super important for the ability for Alaskans to continue to be leaders. We think this could be a future part of our economy. We're working very hard on not only the financing, but the workforce development part of making this stuff happen, because it's not just technology. We've got to make sure that we can operate and maintain it. We're creating a new program now called the Alaska Network for Energy Education and Employment, so we can link together the K through 12 and the vocational and the university programs we've got in the state and make them work synergistically and better. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about this today, and thank you very much.
Thank you.